So yeah, Arrow was ending. That's really sad. But Arrow isn't the only Arrowverse show out there, so I thought I would talk about The Flash and how there are a bunch of rumors that somebody is leaving The Flash at the end of the season, one of the main cast members. And there are a bunch of cast members it could be. It could be Iris, it could be Cisco, could be Caitlin, could be Joe, could be just Wells gone for good, whatever. There's so many characters that could be leaving. And honestly, there are reasons for a lot of characters to leave, but I thought maybe I'd just go through the different characters and discuss which is more likely, who might be leaving, and whatnot. So I'll start off with the most likely candidate, and that is Carlos Valdez as Cisco. Now, the reason why this is the most likely is, well, one, because Cisco has been appearing in the show less and less for the last while. He's only been in a handful of episodes this season. It seemed like they were kind of trying. It seemed like they're trying to create an exit for him by doing this whole metahuman cure plot, with maybe him taking it, not becoming a metahuman anymore, and whatnot. On top of that, the actor hasn't exactly been hush hush on how he wants out of the show. He wants to go off to do other stuff. On top of that, there was a interview at the Fan Expo convention, which was, I think it was last weekend, or it was recently enough, where somebody asks Carlos if he's leaving, and he doesn't really say anything. Tom Cavanagh kind of intervenes and jokes about it, saying oh, we can't really say anything about that.
He can't answer that question. As his agent, listen, let me explain. Carlos, you can answer it if you want, but if there's the problem, if he does, then the press is going to have access to all of when we're actually leaving these shows. Robbie, clearly, you know about, but if Carlos opens that can of worms, we're going to be all covered with worms in a hurry. It's really difficult, but go ahead if you want.
I got a donut in my mouth.
Yeah, you can't. He loves you when he has a donut in his mouth.
Made by the donut. Okay, so we got to keep mum on that stuff. Let's go over here.
But Carlos doesn't straight up deny. I feel like if he wasn't leaving the show and if these were all just rumors, he would have said, no, they're just rumors. I'm not leaving the show. I'm here for the foreseeable future. Instead, he just joked saying, I've got food in my mouth. I can't answer. So yeah, that's not exactly it doesn't give off a good vibe that he's sticking around. Then again, this could just all be their way of hiding that somebody else is leaving. The next most likely candidate is Jesse L. Martin as Joe West. Just like Cisco, he's been appearing less and less as times went on. As a matter of fact, he basically hasn't had a storyline since either late season 3 or early season 4, I want to say. On top of that, the actor has had some back problems, and thus he's been missing a ton of episodes this season, or he's been sitting down in all of his scenes and stuff like that. So it's just, there's a lot of reasons why he might want off the show, understandable reasons. On top of that, 5 seasons for anyone is a big time to be on one show. After 5 seasons, I could see why anybody would want to go off, try new things. But Joe actually returned in the most recent episode, which was episode 15, and while he wasn't in much of it, he did a lot more than he's done in recent memory. So it's possible that this is signaling that maybe he'll be able to come back quite a bit. But at the same time, I think out of all the characters, it's pretty likely that he could be leaving too. Next likely is Danielle Panabaker as Caitlin Snow, or Killer Frost. So there were actually a bunch of rumors saying that she was leaving the show as well as Carlos. So there was rumors going around saying that both of them were leaving the show. And just like Carlos and Jesse, she's been here since the pilot episode. I can see why she would leave. There's not an awful lot for her character that's being done lately. On top of that, the metahuman cure could conceivably be an exit for her character as well if they get rid of, even though that they set up in the early half of the season that she can't be that she's not a metahuman, so she shouldn't be affected by Cicada's stuff. Yet the cure is supposedly able to affect her. But they could conceivably use that as an excuse for her to leave as well, which could be interesting, but I feel like no way they're going to let both Carlos and Danielle leave in the same scene. Or I just, not that they're not going to let them leave, but I just don't think that two big characters like that would leave. Like, I think if Danielle leaves, it'll probably be next season, with Carlos leaving this season. The actress also seems pretty happy on the show. she doesn't seem to be wanting to go off to do anything else. She seems like she's enjoying working on the show and she'd like to stick around. Whereas with Carlos and Jesse, you can tell there's outside reasons why they would want off the show. Was Danielle not necessarily anything that could signal that? To be honest, of these three characters I mentioned, I wouldn't exactly be broken up if any of them left. Um, None of the characters have been particularly interesting since season 3-ish. And that being said, none of them have really done anything. The limelight of the show lately is definitely on Barry, Iris, Nora, the new Welleses of each season, and Ralph. These three characters definitely seem to be not used as much or not utilized as much. Next up is the Welleses. Now, by saying this, I mean like Tom Cavanagh might want off the show rather than just a Wells leaving, because we see a Wells leave every season. But I think it's possible Tom Cavanagh might be done with The Flash and he wants to go off to do this, because he has to do, of all the characters on this show, or of all the actors on this show, he has to put in the most work. He has to play sometimes 4 or 5 characters every season, whereas everyone else kind of only has to play 2, with, Danielle playing Killer Frost and Caitlin, Barry playing evil Barry and good Barry, things like that. But Tom Cavanagh, on top of that, he directs quite a bit as well, so he has to put in so much, and it could be just so tiring to have to do all that. So I could see why he would want off the show, but at the same time, I think it's unlikely he's going to be the one who's leaving. Just because, again, like Danielle, he doesn't seem to particularly want off the show. He seems really close with Grant Gustin and that, and he seems to want to stick around and keep working with them and all of that. So I don't think he's leaving. The only other characters it could be, I think, is Barry or Iris, which, again, I think are very unlikely. I don't think either of them are leaving. No, sure, they might make Barry die in Crisis and Nora take over, but that's very unlikely. I think if they lose Grant Gustin, this show is done. Yes, the show still does well, but this isn't Arrow. I feel like Arrow has enough supporting characters that are well developed that they could live on without Stephen Amell if they wanted to. For example, you've got Amiko, you've got switching to the flash forwards, you've got a bunch of other characters that could conceivably take over the show. Grant Gustin, however, all of the side characters aren't utilized or developed enough or even liked enough to take over from Grant. And they're not going to... Iris isn't going to be leaving the show, because Candace, again, I don't think she wants to leave the show, but on top of that, that's Iris West. The fans would kick up an uproar if she left the show. Nora and Ralph, I think, are also very unlikely. 1, Nora only joined this season, and 2, Ralph only joined last season. And from the rumors, it seems it's a big character leaving, not somebody we've only met the last 2 seasons. Like, it's a big character, a big actor leaving, someone who's been around for a while. So, yeah, if I was to guess, I think it's 90% Carlos, 80% Jesse, like 70% Danielle, maybe 30% Tom Cavanagh, and 5% anyone else. Although I could definitely see both Carlos and Jesse living this season. With Jesse with his back problems, it's definitely likely he could be done. And Carlos, I think, is inevitable. He's going to be leaving. If he doesn't leave this season, I think he'll leave around Crisis and Over the Darts next season. That's the thing, though. I don't really want any characters to leave yet. I want as much characters as we can have in Crisis and Over the Darts. Like, I want every superhero we've ever seen in these shows. I want them in Crisis, and then kill how many of them off, and then afterwards doesn't matter. Because I'm gonna be honest, with Arrow ending, with the rumors that Legends is ending, because Arrow was renewed, so was Legends. People say Legends is ending because it's renewed. Arrow just got announced to be having a 10-episode final season. It's entirely possible Legends could end at Crisis as well, and they could just have a 10-episode short season to finish that up. So, like, from the looks of things, it looks like going forward, it'll be Flash, which I think isn't the best lately. Supergirl, definitely one of the more interesting shows lately. And then Batwoman could be continuing this universe on after Crisis. And I don't know. I'll watch, but I ain't feeling it. I ain't too hyped for the direction the universe is going in. To be honest, though, Arrow has always been the staple of this universe for me, the main thing I watch for. I enjoy the others, but Arrow has always been the meat of this for me, so I can understand why seeing that go would make me not invested. But yeah, who do you think is leaving the Flash? Do you think anybody's leaving? Do you think all these rumors are dumb and stupid, or do you think everyone's leaving? Maybe, maybe that's why Arrow's ending. Maybe all of the Arrow cast are moving on to the Flash. That's it. Code cracked. But yeah. So who do you think's leaving? And let me know. Or don't. But please do let me know. Have a great day.